All right, welcome back to Hailing Frequencies Open, the weekly show where Will and I sit down and comment on your comments that you commented about our comments on an episode of Star Trek.
They're hailing us. Hailing frequencies open.
Captain, we're receiving 285,000 hails.
I wish I knew what to tell them.
So this week, covering a few comments here. What was the last episode we watched? Loud as a Whisper. But we have a few comments from other shows too. So let's get right into it. These are comments from Loud as a Whisper. Starting off here from my office. He says, "Nice job hosting, Caleb. Thank you. Thank you very much." As it turns out, I am now the official host of Hailing Frequencies Open, not the main show. Will said I could do this show, so
Yeah.
so get used to seeing a lot more of me on Hailing Frequencies Open. It's pretty great. Or if Will's in the on a mission in the shuttle pod, then
Yeah.
then I will be hosting the regular show as well. That's funny. He says, if there's one thing I like more than leaving long comments to endure, it's you having to read my long comments. Yeah, I figured that.
We put that together really quickly.
He said, that's incredible, the list of people who are not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. How can that be? You know how that is. It's pretty bad.
I think it probably revolves around money.
Yeah. And the people who run it.
True.
It's funny too that you left all that in. I thought you would edit all that that out of the episode.
I thought about it, but I mean, the reason we talked about it was because of the pictures. So
yeah, it was entertaining. That's what we do here. We have fun. So if you don't like it, I don't know what to tell you.
just stick around longer, and you will.
Yep, we'll grow on you, maybe. The next comment here is from Captain Alimar. He says, I'm glad Will can make it despite all the space turbulence he experienced in his shuttle pod. I did like having John on the show, and hearing another viewpoint is always great. And I liked Caleb's point about having another person to relate with when watching all these poor episodes of Trek. Will and I are in too deep. Yeah, I'm glad everybody enjoyed John. That was fun.
Yeah, I ended up telling John this week that a few people were like, "Nice, I'm glad John was on," and he was like, "Did they speak about how handsome I
am?" Yes. Yeah.
Yes,
Definitely. That was all they said.
That's all they
said. Who was that handsome rogue? He says, I like the discussion from my office brought up with what is Starfleet's purpose function. Are they explorers, diplomats, the military, space cops, Uber? What is your function? It is true. It changes week to week based on what the story they want to tell us.
There are apparently people with a ship that just go places and do things.
They're supposed to their main function, right, is just to go out into the universe and just look at star systems and be like, wow, never seen a nova like that. And then they come back and they're like, man, you should have seen that nova. Like, oh, did you record it? Like, oh, no, we don't have like video or anything.
No, we don't.
No, you should have been there.
We don't have the ability to record anything that we see.
Yeah. Like, wow, that's cool. That's cool, Picard. Did you see? He's like, oh, no. Yeah. I was in my office with the fish tank staring at a virtual map of the solar system. I didn't see it.
You'll have to imagine what it looks like in my captain's log.
I wrote about it.
You're right, exactly.
Yeah. It's just this captain log is just like, it's yellow. Okay. He says, I have a question for Will.
Okay.
If he was trying to get someone into Star Trek and didn't want to torture them like you do to Caleb, where would you start?
So, great question.
I think we talked about this before.
So, originally, my intention was to you know, we were playing the RPG. Caleb was like loosely aware of what Star Trek was, and he obviously understood all of the like larger mechanics, like phasers, transporters, the Starship Enterprise, Vulcan. Like he understood all that stuff.
Yeah, all
So,
the main stuff.
right. But I wanted him to have the nuance of the show and also, not feel like completely unprepared when he's like, I would like to do this very generic Star Trek thing. And I'm like, not in the Enterprise era, you cannot do that. So I wanted him to watch the show. I wanted all of them to watch the show, but people who aren't familiar with Star Trek to watch it. And so he did. He watched it. He liked it. And then it was like, well, let's just watch everything chronologically because you started with Enterprise. I have talked about it in another point where I don't know now. I may
Yeah.
consider Star Trek Enterprise a parallel dimension where I would have somebody watch like Enterprise, Strange New Worlds, Discovery, Strange New Worlds, and go forward, or basically Star Trek Enterprise is the gateway to New Trek, or leave it the way it is. But the reason why it's such a good question, I did this to John, who you just mentioned. I was trying to get him to go see, I think it was like Star Trek Beyond or something.
Mm,
And I like went throughout all of Star Trek and like cherry picked episodes to help him understand like context of movies and stuff like that. So for him to like understand the movie First Contact, I had him watch a whole bunch of Star Trek episodes to get to that movie. And then once that movie happened, then I had him watch a whole bunch of Enterprise episodes and then some things that led up to TOS before the movie started.
that's funny.
And I think that that helped him because he's mentioned that he would, if we ever did a Star Trek Enterprise review, he would like to join because he
Hmm.
enjoyed watching Star Trek Enterprise. So,
Yeah, Enterprise is great. So I watched a couple episodes of Enterprise for the RPG, and I was like, man, this is really good. And I just kept watching it.
yeah, because I think even for that, I had only sent out like 12 episodes to watch.
Yeah, you. It was like the first, obviously the first one,
Right, right.
Broken Bow Part 1 through 6, and yeah, it was only like the first season. It wasn't like anything crazy. But I just continued. I remember I texted you and I was like, "Hey, so I'm in like season 3 of Enterprise.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
pretty good." I think a good rule of thumb too is like I didn't think I was gonna enjoy TOS like at all. I thought it was gonna
Same.
feel like Doctor Who to me. Like I really don't like early Doctor Who stuff. It's just
Yeah.
too much, you know.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how I felt about TOS going into it. But by the end of like, the first few episodes we watched, I was like, okay, this is why there is such a big fandom.
Yeah.
Because TOS is great, you know?
Yeah.
Characters are great. It's a little outdated, but that's what gives it its charm. So
Absolutely.
I would
Absolutely.
start with Enterprise and then all of TOS.
Yeah.
And you can skip the first 2 seasons of Next Gen and move right
Right in
and then
three.
move right into Deep Space Nine, baby.
Watch like 4 episodes of Next Gen and then just start Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd maybe pick up in season 3. I don't know. I don't know yet.
We'll see.
I can't make my official. You can definitely skip season 1. I'll tell you that. All right, so then on to our review of the Schizoid Man. This is a comment from Daystrom Review. How many people must I hurt? Well, according to his own rules, he only hurt 2 people, Jordy and John Luke, and one woman. Oh gosh,
Terrible and
this is
accurate.
good. Yeah, women aren't people.
Women are not people.
Oh my God. All right, so the next comment here is from Captain Alibar. He picked up on my favorite part of the episode. He says, "To know him is to love him. To love him is to know him." A pretty mid episode this week. A Roddenberry for this one. Caleb put it best this week when he said the crew acts stupid so the plot can happen. That is true.
Yep.
It takes them way too long to figure out Old Man is inside Data when they know he's a brilliant computer scientist. Yeah, that's the main point. Yeah, I get it. that it's not the first thing you'd think of since it's kind of wacky, but still. Sometimes I get the impression that Picard barely knows what is going on with the Enterprise. He acts like it's the first time he's heard of this guy being a scientist. Maybe I'm misremembering things, but he seems oblivious sometimes. Yeah, I think so too.
It's to exactly what he just said and you said earlier is they just make Picard dumb so that the plot can advance. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, I didn't even think of that." And like, wouldn't that be the first thing you would think about?
Hmm. Because if you wrote like like a capable captain every episode, like nothing would happen on the ship.
Right, right.
They'd go down and they'd get Riva, and he'd be like, "All right, Riva, you're staying up here on the bridge because we're already basically at this planet, and they already want to talk to you. So you're gonna stand here, you're gonna talk to them, then we're gonna beam down, we're gonna fix this. It'd be over with."
Yep.
And then he says, "What is old man's plan? Was he just gonna dump his brain into the computer console on the planet, then hit on the girl through the monitor?" Data just shows up out of nowhere, and he can switch his plan to go into Data. Yeah, that's what we were saying. Like, what was he gonna do?
Yeah,
It was like not until he saw Data was he like, "Oh, I could put my."
wait a minute. Yeah, I don't know what his plan was. It almost was like, and I know that they didn't actually do this, but they almost write it to be that he like overhears Troy tell the girl that like, hey, he likes her, and he's like, oh, well now I can use Data's body and I can like have a relationship with her because Data is like,
Yeah,
you know, mobile. But like
yeah,
up until that point, it's like I think he literally how the episode ends was he was just gonna download himself to a computer and be like, "So long, world," and then that was it. Like I don't know.
and then like we said too, I think we said in that episode like that's stupid because like here's the guy that like oh the guy that built you Data, the most complex thing we've ever seen in this era. I taught him everything he knows. I pretty much gave him the blueprint for it. And it's like, okay, so did you build yourself a body like a? Oh no, no, God no, no, I wouldn't do that. It's like, oh, okay, cool. So then Captain Olimar continues. Data told him how to turn him off so he can take over his body. Like, oh, that's convenient. The thing Data doesn't tell anybody because off switch. He says, "What's with people in Star Trek taking over people's body and doing everything possible to be found out as quickly as possible?" Yeah. Again, what was his plan? He didn't have a plan.
He got too excited to talk to that
Yep.
girl, and he was just like, "Okay, okay, I'll go inside Data, and then once I'm inside Data, I'll pretend that I'm Data for at least 20 minutes, and then once they pull
Yeah.
away from the planet, I'm getting that girl." It was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay."
Very true. Yeah. It's just like when a woman goes in Kirk's body, she immediately is like, "I'm the captain. I'm gonna execute everybody on the ship." And it's like,
It's not
okay,
something Kirk would do.
you're supposed to be Kirk, right? He says, "I can't believe I'm bringing it up, but what was with them not bringing Pulaski with them? It must have been something related to production, because why wouldn't you use your doctor on the doctor focused episode? Pulaski sucks, and the Vulcan lady rules, so I don't care that much." Yeah, that's true.
It's
I don't
weird. It's
know.
it's
Yeah.
weird. It's a thing that if the Schizoid Man, maybe the Schizoid Man was filmed before this episode, but if the
Mhm.
Schizoid Man was filmed before this episode, then it would make sense why she wouldn't beam down. But they don't even reference that that's like her hang up. They just reference like, well, I'm not gonna go down and cure one man when thousands are at risk. That's like her whole thing, and you're like,
Yeah.
Okay, but isn't this like a doctor centric opening? So whatever.
Nope.
But he
Nope. No,
said,
and like I said, she has that full argument with Picard in the beginning. Like, I don't care if he's a brilliant scientist or not. I have a Hippocratic oath, and I will take care of him no matter what. And they're like, "Hey, so this other ship, these people like kind of had like not enough oxygen for like 5 minutes." She's like, "Well, that's priority." This is like, wow, you couldn't switch any faster on your stance.
Yeah. Like he
It's
says,
weird.
the Vulcan lady rules, so
Yeah, she's great.
it works out.
More of that, please. First and
Mhm.
last.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to give the writers credit to the point where, like, well, we can't have Pulaski there because she would, she would not let this whole data thing happen. And it's like, okay, but there's no way they thought about that and then not about anything else in the episode, all the other plot holes in the episode. I'm not buying it. I think she had a scheduling issue. That's what it is.
Probably. That's what I would hope.
He says the only truly good part of this episode was when Picard and Data are having their little verbal standoff in the warp core. I did laugh when Picard gets smacked in slow motion by Data. So good. Dreaming of better Trek over here, guys. Keep up the good work. Popcorn goes to Dr. Solar. Yeah,
Yeah.
very
Well,
good. Very good.
yeah. It was enjoyable to go and find that clip of you talking about Patrick Stewart getting smacked and watching it in slow motion.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Buckle in. There's a comment here from my office. Starting off with a medical log by Dr. Pulaski. I hate this episode already. By the way, how did the turbo lift know to take Dr. Pulaski to the bridge? She didn't say anything. It's true.
It reads
It
intention
reads your
like
thought.
most enterprise computers.
Yep. But it was one shot.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's cool.
How did you think about that?
Yeah. You didn't notice that though, did you? Jerk.
Wow.
Jordy's comm badge is off kilter in the corridor and it bugs me so much. Did you notice it? I
No.
did not notice it. No. I have ADHD, but it's for other things.
Look at those light panels.
Yeah. I did not notice his badge. I did go back and look though. It is a little skewed.
That's funny.
He says I want to straighten it up. Looks like Data also grew a fine, full, dignified beard. When I stroke the beard thusly, do I not appear more intellectual? That is a great line.
Oh yeah, like they give Data good lines to say. Yeah,
Yeah. It's even more like I don't understand what was so comical about that whole thing, you know?
I don't either.
Oh, just such a big laugh.
Like I said, it almost felt like they were aware that Jonathan Frakes growing the beard was like a symbol of them becoming popular. So they were like, let's make like an in-universe comment on it, basically.
Yeah. Let's make a robot man have a beard. Isn't that wacky? He says, question for you too. When you stroke your beard, do you feel more intellectual? And then he said, we'll decide if you appear more intellectual or not. I don't,
Well,
it doesn't make me feel more intellectual, but it does feel like you're pondering life choices. You're like, interesting,
I
interesting.
always when I do like when it was really first coming in, I don't know why we're having beard talk, but
Yeah,
when it
well, because
first
we all have beards now.
when when it was first coming in, I constantly touched my face because every time I talked or did anything like moved, I would like feel
You're
parts of
like,
my face that I never
my
felt before.
God,
I have a
I've
chin.
damaged my facial structure somehow.
And so now all when I do that, when I do this, I just think I need to put a lot more like uh like anti-frizz like
Yeah,
cream in it so that it
I
doesn't
need
feel so
I need
like
some more beard balm.
right, exactly.
Yeah, I feel like I really only do it to like straighten it
Oh yeah.
because
My
I get,
favorite's when it gets
yeah,
overgrown and parts of it go in your mouth. That's my favorite
that's
part.
my favorite. I like when it goes up your nose and it tickles your nose. I
Yep.
love it. All right, that's beard section with
That,
Caleb and Will.
yeah,
Join
yeah.
us next week when we just talk more about our favorite
Our
beard butters.
our eyeglasses.
Yeah. Yeah. When you clean thus glasses, do you not feel more intellectual? All right, so then he continues. He says, touch and go transport between warp jumps. They make a big deal over why the touch and go transport is weird, but then they don't really explain why it's weird or show it in any way. What's up with that? I was disappointed by that. Dr. Solar gets the 80s sexism treatment here. Ira's a bit of a arrogant ladies man, eh? Yeah, that's right. We didn't even talk about that. He is like, oh, Data, I'm a ladies man. They can't keep their paws off me. It's like you have one assistant and she wants nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. But if I was a robot man, if I wasn't in this old disgusting body.
Yeah, to his other point about the near warp transport, it was that it was like it's gonna be terrible and it's gonna be so weird. And then Troy's like, "Why?" And then
Shut
I'm not
up,
telling you.
get on the pod.
And then she
We
goes,
have to go.
and then she's like, "Yeah," and she's like, "Oh, for a second there, it felt like I was in the wall over there." And Worf's like, "Because you were."
It is such a funny scene. It's like, oh man, I don't know about this. This really hasn't been done that much. And they're like, why? What could possibly go wrong? He's like, get on the platform. And then they land, and she's like, wow, that felt really weird. And he was like, yeah, we're all lucky to be here.
Anyway,
Anyway,
yeah. Like, oh, okay. I guess I
oh,
follow what happened.
well, thanks. Yeah, thanks for telling me all this before you forced me to leave. That's great. He says, whistling, if I only had a heart, a little Wizard of Oz. I guess people across the galaxy know about this movie in the future. Yet Data doesn't know it. And Grandpa seems a little weird and creepy.
Yes, they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, they love Wizard of Oz in this timeline.
yeah, easily one of the most oldest pieces of cinema. It's like, oh yeah, everybody knows that.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, but this joke? Nope.
Data can access like his memory banks for, just unknown things, and then it's
Yep.
like no idea what Wizard of Oz was.
I don't know if in the book they're singing in the book. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
But in a roundabout way, it does mean that Chittenango exists in Star Trek.
Wow. Yeah, it does. That's funny. Yeah, because he's not watching the movie. They don't watch the movie. So very, very good. We good. He says, I completely agree with you. Why would Troy tell this girl Ira is attracted to him? Seems so weird and unnecessary to tell her this old man has the hots for her. I get that it's for the story. Once we have Grandpa Data, still felt really weird.
They
Well,
went
Troy's got
from
about a hot streak of just sharing unwanted details with
yes.
people
They went from she doesn't do anything or just states the obvious to
to
now
being.
she like reads people's minds and just tells other people what that person's thinking. That
She's
guy over
literally
there, he thinks you're really beautiful and he loves your butt. And it's like, okay,
okay.
you're a really
Yeah.
good counselor.
Yeah. Hey, thanks. Yeah, you remember how you used to not do anything? Let's go back to that
Let's go
because
back.
now you're
Let's
just kind
rewind.
of a busybody jerk, you know.
Let's rewind time.
Worf wants to go down to this planet and kill something.
Oh.
No, I don't.
Captain Picard, Riker's thinking about wanting to kiss me and kissing me a lot. Riker's like, no, no, I'm not. I'm thinking
Yeah.
about going down to the planet. He won't stop kissing me in his mind.
Like, okay, we're in a board meeting though,
Right,
so
exactly.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Ira is planning to transfer his knowledge and thoughts to a computer, and Data told him about his off switch. What could possibly go wrong? And
Yeah,
then he
so
says,
much so that
Tin Man.
they knew.
Tin
Yeah,
Man?
man. they knew too. The writers were like, all we got to do is have Data tell this guy that he has an off switch, and then just not show any of it transpire, and the audience will know.
Data has had his creepy mode activated. Uh-oh. It was a weird eulogy, and I agree that it's weird how Wesley was so taken by it. How weird to see your own funeral. Have you ever wondered what people might say at your funeral? Would you want to know? Probably not.
I I have
Yeah.
thought about it because I'm a weird person, and I forget what it is, but I remember there's like a Jonathan Taylor Thomas like movie or
Mm,
TV episode or something where it happens, and I always remember thinking like, yeah, what would they say at my funeral? Because I was
that's like
like a
such
dumb
a
little kid.
that's such like a 80s like
Yeah.
teaching you to be a better person episode
Right,
of like television, you know?
right, exactly.
Like, you guys see me? Yeah, one of those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, remember he was such a jerk? This is such an ugly jerk, and he always smelled bad. Why are you saying this at my funeral? Uh,
Yeah. I don't think I think it just like in the real sense of it, I don't think I'd want to know anything because it's just like you would just hear people
yeah,
crying and being really upset. And I don't really want to
yeah.
just be like,
You wish.
ooh,
you you wish.
do I wish?
Yeah, you wish people would be crying.
Thanks.
I was just kidding. No, for me it'd be like, oh, I can't believe you didn't leave me all this Star Trek stuff.
Yeah. Oh
What a
yeah.
jerk. Oh, that's good. Yeah, no, I don't contemplate that sort of stuff. It's not fun to think about that stuff. He says Data has wandering eyes. His going on about Ira. Data is clearly not himself. I agree with Caleb's early comments that making the character dumb for the sake of the story is also dumb. They should have obviously known something was up. So stupid to me.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No, they only know Data. They only do stuff with Data every day. And like
Yeah.
I said, Jordy's his best friend, and I refuse to believe that he knew anything was going on with him.
Right.
Like, Jordy, what's going on with your friend, man? Why is he being so weird? He's like, earlier, I didn't want to tell you. He glued a beard to himself. He's lost it. Absolutely lost it. He says the hollow scan effect was pretty cool. It must have been fun for Brent Spiner to get to play this version of himself again. Sort of like lore, but a bit different.
Yeah.
Establishing Jordy is Data's best friend was a nice moment as well. Did you catch the mention of Data's age in this episode? He's a teenager.
Very true.
That's funny. Yeah.
Yeah. And his comment about lore and Grandpa Data here, as he refers him to. Yeah, the big difference is he's not evil and he's more handsy. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that is true. Suddenly Picard has solved it. Took you long enough. How terrible that this girl's hand was broken by Grandpa Data. But it doesn't stop there. Don't come up here, Picard. You won't like it. Not Jody. The scene up here was okay, but the backhand and fall were a bit cheesy. But Picard's message got through to him like an android hand to the face. Yeah,
The thing I'm a little sad. He says the scene was only okay. Was okay. I
this
thought
is
the
the
scene was
best
actually
best part of the episode.
well, yeah. I don't know. I genuinely liked him like pushing Grandpa Data, like just keep pushing him until he snapped.
Yeah,
It was like almost like he wanted him to strike him, you know?
yeah. I like seeing Picard talk down a computer. It makes me feel closer to TOS.
Yeah,
It gives me a little hope. I did like this scene. I like the cinematography of it mostly. When he comes
I
in,
see.
I just really enjoy that they built a two-story warp core. I
Yeah.
enjoy that, and I enjoy when they use it. So it is very funny. He's like, don't come up here, because he's like, I'm gonna come up there. I'm gonna come up there, and I'm gonna talk to you so hard. And he's like, oh, I wouldn't recommend it. And he's like, I'm coming up, and he walks over and he gets into the lift, and he's like,
And he's like, "Don't you come up here. Don't you come up here."
and the lift is like very slowly going up. He's like, Mhm. Do, 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 do. And then it like finally goes, all right, and another thing I'll tell you.
Ah, I see you have knocked out our friend Jorty.
I told you not to come up here, McCann. I
Well, that
told you
was
the
an
whole time.
accident. He does kind of 180 in that scene. He's like, "Don't come up here. Don't you dare come up here." And then when he comes up there and Jordy's on the ground, he's like, "Well, that was an accident."
Yeah.
It's like, weren't you just
I
threatening? Weren't you just threatening me?
yeah. I told him not to come up here as well. This is what happens when you come up here, McCann.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very funny. It's very funny. It's just funny to me too. Like the lift elevator is like all open, so
Yeah,
like you can just see him the whole time. It's funny. It is
yeah,
funny
it's
to me.
funny.
Now Ira is in the computer. The human equation has been lost. Thank goodness. Otherwise, the computer would be coming on to all the female officers all the time. So that's a really funny thought. Yeah. So Data has no memories. Did I remove those memories? Some final good act so that Data didn't have to live with the memory of the awful things he did? I don't
It is
know.
interesting.
That is a good thought. I just assume he was in the off mode the entire time and incapable of receiving data.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. I think too he might have realized that like Data was the one thing that wasn't that basically respected him and like treated him kindly because he called him grandpa and he listened to him and spoke to him and he wasn't like a moron and I think
Yeah.
in his eyes and so he might have respected Data and just been like, all right, well, you don't need to have this stuff either. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's an interesting point. I didn't think about it. He says, I guess this episode is more enjoyable if you really don't try to think about things, like the writers did. That's a good burn right there.
he got
To
him.
know this, yeah, I saw this earlier.
Oh no.
Oh man, this made me laugh pretty good earlier. He says, to know this episode is to dislike this episode, and to dislike this episode is to know this episode. Great review, guys. The Popcorn Award goes to Brent Spiner.
So there's the
Is
question
fun.
for you, Caleb. Who
Yeah.
gets the popcorn award for being the best actor of the episode? So you had Dr. Solar as an option, well, as a suggestion, and Brett Spiner as a suggestion.
I feel like Brett Spiner is always the right answer,
Okay.
but because I will see Brett Spiner next week and not Solar, I'm going to give it to Solar.
Nice.
Yeah. I could
That
use
sounds
more
great.
Vulcan scientists or medical officers like any day of the week. So,
Yeah. Cool.
yeah, she's great. And I like her as the Andorian too. So,
Yeah.
all right, Will, now it's your favorite time of the week. What's popular this week?
This is popular, so popular. This is popular this week.
So you'll never guess what it is. So it's from the Enterprise Reddit group from user named Nixon was framed,
Yeah.
which is that's a
Sure.
funny, yeah. Classic Star Trek fan.
Classic.
This I don't even like seeing this. Well, I really don't like seeing it.
I know you don't, but I had to.
No, it really, really irritates me because this would be such an easy thing for them to do, but they just refuse to do it.
Yeah.
They'll finally do it like after the main cast is like dead. They'll be like,
Oh yeah.
"Hey, oh man, this close. We were like this close, you know? We
Um,
were writing it. We were
oh.
writing it. We didn't have enough time. The show came out in 2000. Yeah, it's pretty cool. So it's one of my favorite things of all time is the Mirror Universe. It's
Yep.
Archer and T'Pol in the Mirror Universe animated. It's super lame.
You hated them.
Peacemakers.
Peacemakers.
All right, so the next one here is a TOS from Lunislongissimus.
I think it's like Linus Longissimus or something like that, but I really have no idea.
That is a funny username.
Hey, it's not KKCan 2020, so
Certain people claim Star Trek used to be just escapism and less political. And then this is actual Star Trek in the 1960s. And then it's so that's
it's
pretty
all
funny.
these episodes that you didn't watch.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't watch these.
Nope.
I don't even know what this two-faced looking guy is.
Nope, you don't.
It's really funny.
Hey, Alexander, where I come from, size, shape, or color makes no difference.
Yeah, it's very like positive. It's cool that like
Yeah, oh yeah.
we always talk about Roddenberry being a womanizing pig,
Right.
but you know there was some cool stuff that he was writing
Well,
that
the reality is like he definitely had his hardships with dealing with women and treating them properly, but what he was envisioning, like he was way ahead of his time.
Mhm.
I figured you would like
It's
both of
cool.
those.
I like it.
So the one where Kirk is talking to the little person, that's the famous episode where him and Uhura kiss.
Oh, you didn't have me watch that one.
I didn't know.
It was TV history. You didn't have me watch it.
I know. It's a rough episode. But maybe you would have liked it. I don't know. I didn't have you watch it.
Uh,
The black
I'm
and
gonna
white
go
face
watch it.
guy episode is it's like yes, it hits on the black and white race issue, but it's an odd episode.
Hmm. It looks odd.
I don't remember the one up in the right corner with her and Spock. I don't remember it off the top of my head. But the bottom right one is one that I sort of semi regret not showing you because it's a pretty decent episode.
Hmm. Well, we'll just have to make sure our Patreon supporters request me to watch it, do a review on them.
That's right.
I did go back and start watching episodes in the first season that I didn't watch.
Ooh.
They're pretty great. All right. Well, that covers hailing frequencies open this week. So why don't you close us out, Will?
Will do. So, Lieutenant Worf, hailing frequencies closed.
Worf's always like, "Hey, Worf, open up a hailing company." He's like, "All right, Captain." In 4, 3, 2,